Why I feel in the face of all the problems in the world impotent, and why I somehow cannot manage to transform I. Now here we get to the real problem, because we're always telling each other that we should be different. Now I'm not going to tell you that tonight. Why not? Because I know you can't. Nor can I. That may sound depressing, but I'll tell you it isn't. It's very hard. But everybody, you see, who is at all sensitive and awake to their own problems and human problems is trying to change himself. We know we can't change the world unless we change ourselves. So when we are aware of the ego I, we are aware of this chronic tension inside ourselves. And that's not us. It's a futile tension. So when we get the illusion, the image of ourselves, married to a futile tension, you've got an illusion married to a futility. And then you wonder why I can't do anything.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's live stream. Well, we do technically have bearish confirmation on Bitcoin. Let's talk about it. I feel like we just had our UTAD of our UTAD for all you ICOF folks. And of course, implying market structure isn't really all that miraculous. It's just nice to organize shapes, I suppose. That's why people like Wyckoff. Because it's intuitive, but it's very retrospective. So, with this in mind, let's actually point out our mean reversion pivots, because we have two longest overexpanded periods. One plume forming underneath another. So, the huge plume over here, this guy. Right, this large plume of mass is generated up to the 1050 period, and then this newer plume, in my last update email I said it was 120. It's actually changed to 160 overnight. These values do continue their expansion until, of course, well, they have reverted to a state of compression. And just from looking at the 3D wave PM, it looks like we actually did cross that mean reversion pivot last night. So we're going to plug in the 160. Beautiful. Nice. Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. So, let's talk about the confluence here, okay? When we re-enter this band, it implies reversion to this mean, right? That is the condition. The signal is a CCI roll down of 1/10 of its period, okay? And then when we have a 1/10 of its period CCI roll down, so a 105 period CCI, which a 105 period band has been re-entered at this location, right? That would technically be bearish confirmation for this short position. And that's great, right? Because you can enter a portion of the position on the actual condition activation itself, and then you can enter the rest of your position when its relative CCI rolls down. Which just happened, because that provides the safest entry into trend. Or not necessarily entry into trend, because we're actually betting against trend through mean reversion. Somebody said today that the slope of probability volatility is still up, and sure, that's true 100% of the time, essentially, whenever you get a mean reversion condition, right? Like, when you have upward expansion, of course, the slope of the expansion is going to be up when you cross its relative mean reversion pivot, right? Okay, so because we entered our mean reversion pivot in addition to the CCI roll down pivot, beautiful. Well, it first implies reversion down to this mean, right? The 160 mean, which in turn implies reversion down to this mean, the 1050 mean. And, you know, usually you don't get these clean upward expansions like we've seen here. That's actually pretty rare. And I'm actually overall pretty happy with the formation of this. Because this was such a strong move, it actually gave us a stronger bearish confirmation when we return to the equilibrium. Right? Let's do a drawing. Yeah. Let's say I guess I could just do the expansion and compression itself. Okay, so let's say you got a really wide band like this, okay? And price re-enters the band like so. Okay, it implies you'll go to the center of the band, right? However, there is a secondary smaller period that did this, right? Which was more reactive to the more recent move rather than the initial move, right? Because it's a shorter period. Shorter periods react faster. So this price action also returned inside this band as well. And because we had the activation of the long condition in condition with the activation of a shorter period condition, well, the confluence of the mean reversions line up to each other. And that's what we're betting on. So, I know I said I've had several short opportunities in the past, but I am inclined to believe this one is the strongest. If we go ahead and make more higher highs, well, I'll just stop out of the positions again, right? My strategy is all about little loss, right? 4% there. And if I step out of this, it's going to be another 4% there, right? So a little loss, 4% each time. But what happens when I hit the big win? Right, let's say I'm right this time. Okay, well that means I have a 35% upside. Are you willing to lose 4% 2, 3, 4 times in a row at the promise of winning 35% when you do it? So, where would I intend to enter new long positions? All right, weekly 200 moving average. That's the plan. And we actually retrace down to those values. It's going to be the strongest signal to enter into bullish positions for a long. Couch Chart says thoughts on shorting FUSD instead of BTC USD right now. Because you're adding a variable of a bearish chart, it's probably going to be a stronger short. Okay? Yeah, as simple as that. You know, here's how it is. If you have a bearish condition on FBTC, and then you add a variable called FBTC, right? If you have an active downtrend on the short-term period on, you know, the FBTC chart, that implies that, well, the FUSD chart is also going to be bearish because the BTC USD chart is bearish. Yeah, it's essentially just going to be a stronger position, right? Right, because you have the confluence of added variables, right? Let's say you're on a boat that's sinking, and then your question is, what about this other boat that has even more holes in it, right? Which one's going to sink first? Let me check on Litecoin real quick. Price action is so uncomfortable. I haven't gotten stopped out yet, so that much is good. Still expecting bearish continuation of Litecoin as well. I'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Okay? That's gonna be it for today. You know, I kind of have my bearish condition active. I updated the premium sharks to re-enter their shorts. That's all I have to say today. Litecoin is still safe. It's gonna be a quiet day, folks. All right. You have a beautiful one. I'll see you.